Hi, katzcradul here. I just finished watching a video on the Perbain channel, Perbain. Deb was telling about how she had somebody pull into her driveway as she was gardening and practically demand that she sell her organic vegetables. Kind of a scary story. I've been out in the garden this morning as well, but something you said really struck a nerve to me. Here I'm showing you my hands are just like yours. They are not city girl hands. They are not pretty. They are hands that work all day. Yep, the other one isn't much better. What I'm showing you here is a little bit of garlic that I pulled. It's so easy to plant if you haven't tried it. When you get a really great head of garlic from the grocery store, one that's cloves are nice and fat and beautiful and taste delicious, save some of those cloves and plant them. It's so easy to do. I plant mine in November, just right before the first frost. Poke some little holes in the ground, stick those cloves in there, and this is what you end up by summer. We planted 5 cloves. I should have planted a lot more, but I didn't think about it until almost too late. We accidentally injured one when we hit it with a shovel in the early spring, and it died on us. But here are 4 beautiful cloves. You can see how the individual cloves are bulging through there. Just beautiful. But I want to talk to Deb about weeding, because you mentioned in your video that you weeded almost all day, and that just broke my heart, because we have found a better way. And I want to show you a few things in the garden that we've done to make it easier for us so that we don't have to spend so much time weeding. And when it gets to be as hot as it is now, I certainly don't want to be doing that. Here I'm showing you several different kinds of mulch. We have bark mulch, and this is some straw we have down layered up. Our garden is kind of freeform this year. We had so many volunteer tomatoes and they're sprawling everywhere. But here you can see the mulch and the kind of silvery green that was at the top of that picture a minute ago. That's some weeds I pulled and just left laying there. Occasionally when we get a bare spot of soil, we'll have a weed crop up, and I just pull it and then kind of cover that bare soil. That's our rule here. No bare soil. There's another little place where it was thinned. But the weeds are so easy to pull out of this mulch. They just don't hold on as tight when it's all soil. And when I pull them, I leave them right where they are. It's so hot now that they'll just die and just add to the mulch layer. Here's a little place by the asparagus where there's a weed. I just grab it, just pull it up. So easy, not hard at all. And then just cover that little bare space with some mulch. Very easy to do. I spend very little time weeding. If I do 10 minutes a day, that's probably about what I do, is just occasionally go through and pull a few weeds. But you can see the soil showing through there. A weed popped up. If you cover the soil, you won't get weeds. And it's as simple as that. I'm telling you the truth here. It is just so easy with this method. And the weeds you do have to pull just absolutely come right out. That's some old cilantro I'm like going to seed. Here's some weeds I pulled in a place in our yard where we're not gardening, and I just came back here and threw them on top of the mulch. It just adds to the organic matter, and it just builds up. Here's in between some tomatoes and our green bean arbor. All mulch, no weeds. Peppers, tomatoes. The tomatoes are just sprawling. All of these are volunteer. I think these are going to be the little sweet 100s, which I just adore. They make the best salsa. Here's mulch between the raspberries and the strawberries. No weeds. Looking down between the strawberries and the tomatoes. Here, okay, now here's where we have let some weeds grow, because we pulled the chicken tractor over there and let the chickens munch that. That's right in front of the water barrels, so it gets a little bit of water there when we drip water through there, and we leave that intentionally. And you can see sometimes right along the edge of the sidewalk where the mulch is thin, we'll get a few weeds, but not many. Look all in there. That's potatoes and free-form tomatoes growing. We mulch the onions with a thin layer of bark mulch and then a little heavier layer of straw And I want you to look down here when I pull the mulch away. See how dark that is in there? That's moist. That's what I love best about it, is that mulch holds the moisture in. Look how gorgeous those onions are getting. Yeah, and even when we are in near drought conditions like we are now, I don't have to go down very far. Just push my finger in a half an inch and I can feel wet soil. It is amazing how it works. That's looking toward the bean arbor. Look at those tomatoes. Going crazy. Potatoes are just starting to turn yellow. There's a tomato growing in the middle of there as well. Cannot wait for them to turn brown so I can dig them up. There's my little head of lettuce that I'm going to have for lunch today because it's about to bolt. So I'm going to eat that and then probably plant some okra over there. So yeah, here's the weeds in front of the water barrel, and we just leave that because the chickens love to go over there, and they'll clean that out in a couple of days, and then we'll let the weeds grow back there. This is walking over to another section. That's a hose that goes to a new water barrel we're putting up. But here's more mulch and just no weeds. We do save lots of cardboard. That's a box from Stark Brothers Nursery when I ordered some trees a couple of weeks ago, fruit trees. We've got tomatoes, beans. Those are volunteer Kentucky Wonders that are growing up there. I don't pull anything that comes up volunteer, really. If it's edible, I just let it go. But I hope you get the idea. There's just where we have mulch and where the ground is covered, we don't have any weeds. That's a blackberry bush and some broccoli. The Japanese beetles, I think, are finally gone. I only saw 4 this morning. They've eaten some of that broccoli, but it's going to be fine and recover. Here's another great thing. The mulch is cool, and the cats find a shady spot on the mulch, and it's just as cool as it can be. They never sleep anywhere else. They find a little shade and sleep on that cool mulch because there's moisture under there and it cools their bodies. It's 90-something degrees outside today, and they can lay in a shop that has a fan in it, but they choose the mulch because it's cooler. Yep, there's Maybelline. She's got to come talk to me a minute. The other thing I like is when it rains, and it can rain a lot and it can rain hard, and when it does, I can go out the very next day, the very next morning, and walk anywhere in my yard and not get any mud on my shoes. They stay completely clean because the mulch has covered that soil. Occasionally, if it rains really hard, a little bit of the mulch will be displaced, and all I do is just with a light rake is just go and rake it back. I hope this helps you, Deb. Really, please consider it. If you can't get bark mulch, go to your appliance store where they're unboxing big appliances, and you can get tons of cardboard, and start with that. Start with cardboard and newspaper. Save the paper out of your paper shredder, and you'll see comments on here where people will poo-poo this idea and say, "Oh, I've tried it, it doesn't work." Well, you know what? If you only tried it 1 year, you only tried it 2 years, really, I think people should give it a little longer than that. I've seen the Back to Eden movie. I don't care how big your garden is. This guy's garden is huge, and he mulched it on rocky soil. He did not dig the rocks out. He mulched on top of that and then gardened. I've watched my grandparents do it in southeast Texas in that horrible, horrible clay soil, and they made it workable and beautiful and viable. And if you stay after it and keep after it, you can build up something that is rich and lush and easy to garden on. Deb, give it a try, really. I'm encouraging you. Quit. You're like me. You're no spring chicken, and you don't need to be breaking your back out there weeding. Give it a try and let me know what happens. Do like I do. Chase down the tree trimmers when they come through your area and tell them to come dump the mulch in your yard. I've done that, and I'm not ashamed. Have a great day. Cat's Cradle.